Welcome back to another video. Dr. Tarcia Huber here, and in this video we're going to talk about some more identities, specifically the product to sum identities and the sum to product identities. And we're only going to work two samples, so this should be a short video. And so just jumping right in, let's start with the product to sum identities. So product means to multiply, okay? So what we have here on the left side of each of these is we have two of the trigonometric functions being multiplied, a combination of cosine and sine with two different angles. So here we have cosine of one angle times cosine of another angle, sine of one angle times sine of another angle, and then we mix and mingle. Sine of an angle times cosine of an angle, and then vice versa, cosine of a separate angle, sine of a different angle. So what this identity or what these identities do is they show us how to take a product and rewrite it as the sum. And so if we wanted to take the product of two of the trigonometric functions being multiplied and wanted to write it as the sum, this is how we would do it. Now, these identities typically aren't memorized. So you just basically need to know how to use these, all right? And when you see them, where to come to find them. So for this first example, we want to write 4 times the cosine of 75 degrees times the sine of 25 degrees as the sum or difference of two functions. So notice we have a product. We have a product that multiplies the cosine of one angle and the sine of another angle. So I'm going back to my product to sum identities, and that looks like this very last identity right here. Cosine of an angle times sine of a different angle. And that's equal to 1/2 sine of A plus B minus sine A minus B. All right, so not including the 4. I'm just going to write it without the 4 because on our identity, it didn't have a number in front of it. So cosine of 75 degrees times the sine of 25 degrees is equal to 1/2 of sine of A plus B, so 75 plus 25 degrees, and sine of 75 minus 25 degrees. And it's a minus in between those. Now, our specific function that we're looking for has a 4 in front. So all you do is go stick that 4 in front. But when you stick it on one side, you have to stick it on the other side. So you're multiplying both sides by 4, basically. When you multiply 4 by 1/2 or 1/2 by 4, you get 2. And then when you simplify this, you get sine of 100 degrees because 75 plus 25 is 100 minus sine of 50 degrees because 75 minus 25 is 50. Now you could leave it like that, or you could distribute the 2 and rewrite it as 2 times sine of 100 degrees minus sine 2 times sine of 50 degrees. And so we've taken this product and we've written it as the difference, because that's the identity it fell on. We've written it as the difference of two trigonometric functions, specifically the sine functions. And so that's how you would do it. That's where you would stop. It doesn't ask you to find the exact value or anything like that. It just tells you to write it as the difference of two functions. And so we've done that. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. And so now let's look at the sum, the product identity. So now this time, if you're adding two trigonometric functions, specifically sine and cosine, then this shows you how to write it as the product of those two functions. And so again, we have all the different combinations of sine and cosine that you can add. So you can have sine of A plus sine of B, sine of A minus sine of B. Then you can have cosine of A, cosine of B, and cosine of A, cosine of B, minus cosine of B. Now this one doesn't mix and mingle the sine and cosine. It keeps only sine and only cosine in your sums and your differences. And it shows you how to take it and write it as a product, okay? So we're going to look at an example for this. We want to write sine of 2 theta minus sine of 4 theta as a product of two functions. So this is the sine of two different angles being subtracted. So it looks like this second identity right here. Alrighty. This is a sine of two different angles being subtracted. Now, in our example, our A is 2 theta and our B is 4 theta. So now the sine of 2 theta minus the sine of 4 theta. I was going to put that 2 in parentheses and change my mind. That's why it looks like that. That is going to equal to, so if we go back to our function, that's 2 cosine of a plus b over 2 times sine of a minus b over 2. So that's 2 cosine of a plus b, so our a is 2 theta, plus b, which is 4 theta, all over 2, times the sine of a minus b, so that's 2 theta minus 4 theta, all over 2. And if you simplify that, you get 2 times the cosine. 2 theta plus 4 theta is 6 theta. 6 theta divided by 2 is 3 theta. And then, so that's the cosine of 3 theta. And then 2 theta minus 4 theta, I'm here, is negative 2 theta. Negative 2 theta divided by 2 is negative theta. Alrighty. Now, one thing is we don't want to leave this negative in here. And if you remember the negative angle identities, or what we also call the even odd identities, the sine of negative theta, I'm just going to write it over here to the side. The sine of negative theta is equal to negative sine of theta. That's one of our previous identities. So I'm going to pull that negative in front, and that's going to become negative 2 cosine of 3 theta times the sine of theta. Because sine of negative theta is equal to negative sine theta. So I wrote the negative sine theta, but I just put the negative here, and then here's the sine theta. And that will be your final answer. That is how you will take sine of 2 theta minus sine of 4 theta and write it as the product of two functions. That means I've taken it and written it as two of the trigonometric functions multiplied by each other. And so that is how you would use the sum to product identity. So this one is, again, it's pretty short because we have multiple identities. You don't have to remember them, but you do know how to use them. So you just need to be able to go and figure out which one you need to use, okay? So we have product to sum and sum to product. If you have any questions about these, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below and I will respond. If this video was helpful, hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.